Welcome to Chatting Shit with Ostique, the podcast series where we chat about shit with inspirational people from all walks of life. Today, we are joined by the wonderful and inspiring Moeed Majeed. We hope you enjoy this conversation. Moeed, welcome to Chatting Shit with Ostique.
Howdy, how's it going?
Oh, good. Thank you for being here. So excited to have you.
No problem at all. I'm excited as well. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Me too. So today's episode is going to be called Swag Bag. What else? Couldn't be more you.
It has to be done.
Couldn't be more fitting. Before we get into this episode fully, I would love it if you'd be able to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your experience with Crohn's.
Sure thing. So yeah, guys, hi, how's it going? My name's Moeed. I am going to be 32 soon in June, depending on when this comes out. I might already be 32. I live with a stoma bag and Crohn's disease. I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was 19, but I've had symptoms since I was about 8 or 9, 10 years old, around that time. And it's been a roller coaster. For those of you who are going through it or have felt similar or been in similar positions, you know what it's like. But post stoma surgery, I've managed to get things back on track. But before that, it was a lot of hard graft and adjusting to this new lifestyle that I'd been thrust into. I was in the middle of university and loving life and thought I was the bee's knees, and then very much humbled and had to take a new route and really just discover the most important things in life, which are the small things, just being able to wake up every day and enjoy the day, and there was a long time I wasn't even able to do that. So I'm grateful that I'm healthy now and I'm able to do things that I enjoy, do things that I love, and being in this position was only made possible having gone through that whole roller coaster, getting newfound appreciation for life. And like I said, the small things. And I'm just taking every day as it comes, looking to follow the sun and catch some melanin, man. I need a tan. But
Don't we all? I wanted to kind of touch upon the fact that you were diagnosed at university. Did your symptoms begin then, or did they sort of worsen and that's how you ended up getting your diagnosis? And what were those?
So during university, like I said, I've had symptoms since I was about 9 or 10 years old, but they were very infrequent or on and off. So when I was a kid in primary school, I had a fissure. If you don't know what that is, it's a little cut in your booty, and obviously nobody knew what it was. About 20 years ago, the diagnosis and the medical kind of practice wasn't as far forward as it is now. Mm-hmm. So there was lots of random medications I was taking, and that disappeared. Then in high school, I started to get cuts in my mouth, very deep lacerations. And again, it wasn't clear what was going on, to the point where I couldn't really eat. My mouth was very swollen and hurt all the time. That thankfully disappeared. I had a swollen lip that came and went as well. So everything was okay from the age of 16 to 19. I started my second year of university. And that's when I started to get troubles or issues with my abdomen area, my guts, and that's why I started to having to go to the bathroom quite a lot. And that's after a month of that, I realized something's not right here. Something's not something isn't computing. Mm. So I remember I called my mum. I was lying on my bed at uni, in the house with my friends.
There you go.
Lying on my bed like this. It was like a GIF, like a meme. I'd call my mum. I was like, "Yo, something's wrong with me." And so we made an appointment at the adolescent clinic at UCH because I was 19 at the time. And, after a few months of testing, I remember it was November time, and I'd lost 10 kilos in a month. So something obviously was wrong. Yeah. So December, January, they were doing tests, endoscopy, colonoscopy, all the good stuff. And I remember February, what was it, 2011 maybe, I got diagnosed. And obviously it was nice in that you kind of understand what is going on, and it's just about learning to deal with it. And I very innocently asked, okay, what's the cure? Not knowing obviously there is no cure, right? They're like, whoa. So again, being, I suppose, I wasn't hard-headed, but I was like, okay, cool, this is not going to stop me from living my life. So the first year, I kind of ignored it, and it wasn't the best idea. I ignored all the symptoms. I was on steroids, and after a month, I put that 10 kilos back on. So I was like, oh, it's not that bad, this is okay. This is cool. And obviously you can't take steroids. They're not great in general, but you have to like wean off them, right?
Yeah.
So after I weaned off them again, obviously inevitably lost all that weight. And then it was like a year of just ups and downs and like really like in a bad place. And yeah, for the next 4 or 5 years, it was like trying lots of different medications. I had to drop out of university, then I went back, then I dropped out again. I had to get a job in retail just to survive. And yeah, like I said, it was really just learning how to adjust this whole situation, something I wasn't really in control of. And I think that's the most difficult thing, you know, when you're unable to be in control of your body, or and it kind of like you succumb to you know, just you're not in control. Basically, you're not in control of what's going on. That's the most difficult part, I think, because you're unable to plan things or do things you want. You're at the mercy of you know, just these random situations that your body conjures up at the most random, inappropriate times. So it's like very disheartening. But again, yeah, it got to the point where like I got TB as well. I caught TB, which was mad. Yeah.
Oh my God. In the midst of all of this.
Yeah, I remember. So this is before my surgery. I think it was like 2012, 2013 time. So I went to America with my best friend, and they were saying that on the plane I might have caught something, because obviously it's all immunosuppressants, right? And at the time I was on Humira, adalimumab. So I was like injecting myself. And yeah, obviously it weakens your immune system. There's also like a correlation between adalimumab, Humira, and like tuberculosis. And you have to get like regular chest x-rays. But I remember I started getting night sweats, like pain in my lung, this random, it's actually the most painful thing I've ever experienced, like more than pain stuff. It was like in this part area, I've still got a scar from where they put like a little, they had to put like a drain in to like get all the fluid out. So I was in, that was my longest stint in hospital, funnily enough. It wasn't from Crohn's, it was from that, like 2 weeks or over 2 weeks. But again, it's just like, the issue is all the medication for inflammatory bowel disease is anti-inflammatory, but simultaneously is immune suppressant, right? So yeah, for a whole year, I wasn't even on Crohn's medication. I was taking like 40 tablets a day for like TB, which was just a pain. And then that cleared up, and then I started to get fistulas, like abscesses. That was like horrendous, because I had like 3 at once, all in the perianal area. So that was like the lowest point for me, because I'm very outgoing and out there, but that really like knocked my confidence. And then I think I was like 24 years old, and I had gone into like another surgery again to get it drained. And I was like, what is my life? And they started speaking about stoma surgery. And I remember initially I was like, yeah, nah, man, that is, no way am I doing that. Because again, as humans, we're scared of the unknown, right? And this is,
of course,
it's like, wow, I'm not going to have this thing attached to my body forever. Allow that as dead. But then having some time to kind of like really weigh up the pros and cons and have a frank conversation with myself, I was like, cool, my life is like shit, basically. And I don't like what's going on. I don't look the way I look. I can't eat anything. I'm not doing anything. Like, maybe I should try it and see what happens. And, you know, they really emphasized the whole fact that it was a reversible thing, which I was like, okay, cool, fine. I'll try it. And if it doesn't work, they can always like rejig it back into shape.
You've got an out, so it's less scary. Yeah.
Precisely. And, you know, like 8 years down, I've still got it. So it kind of worked, to be honest. But yeah, again, it goes back to what you said before we started about the whole videos. You know, I started to really document my whole journey. I don't know why I started doing it. Maybe because I thought I'd forget about everything I'd been through. And I really don't want to do that, because it shaped me in such a way that has like made me into the person I am today. All these experiences, whatever you go through, kind of like has a major impact on your journey in life. So yeah, I made these videos. I just put them on YouTube. So I was like, when I was 50 years old, I can watch back and remind myself. But then again, a lot of people started watching it, and you know, thankfully people have taken some positivity from it. And yeah, man, I'm feeling good now. And yeah, long may this continue, touch wood. We can, you know, stay healthy and spread the vibes.
Absolutely. There's so many things that I want to unpack that you've touched upon. You literally basically answered all of my questions in one monologue, which I love. There's a couple,
because I love to talk.
No, I love it. I was saying to you before we came on, which is what you alluded to, that a couple of guests on this podcast in previous episodes have mentioned you, specifically your YouTube videos, and how it gave them the confidence to have their surgery and or help them through their recovery. So thank God you did start filming. And it's funny that you kind of did it for yourself, but it's helped other people, which is amazing. I wondered, what your experience of sharing on YouTube, social media, everywhere else has been like, because a lot of people I've spoken to have had really positive experiences and then unfortunately some negative ones as well. And I wondered what your experience had been like.
I'd say my experience has been mixed, not negative and positive. I mean, in that my own personal experience and the kind of pressures I put on myself, because I never wanted to be known as the guy with the bag, basically, because I always knew I had so much more to offer, whether it be comedy, whether it be inspirational stuff, whether it be whatever, and I never wanted to be like archetyped, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
As the guy with the stoma bag. I'm always happy to speak about it, and if anyone asks me questions or wants some advice, I'm more than happy to talk to anybody. But I never wanted to be the guy that just like shoved it down your throat every single day, because that's just not me, right? And I don't like to do anything forced. It has to be candid for me. That's just how I work. Everything needs to be authentic. And I knew that if I was trying to make this stuff every day, I wouldn't be enjoying it. And you can always tell that from the output when the person's kind of mood whilst they're making it.
100%.
Having said that, I really do enjoy the fact that people are taking positives from it. I do have like my brothers and siblings are like, oh, you should do more, you should do more, you should do more. That stuff was always great. It's always got the best numbers, even though I don't care about that. I never have. It's just right now I'm trying to find a balance, of course, because I would like to. My USP is always my personality, and it's maybe combining the two. Maybe I can do something funny alongside the stoma stuff. So I'm in that kind of like limbo phase at the moment. But we'll see what happens with that. In terms of positive and negative, it's never been anyone saying anything to me. If someone has said something, I always take it. I can't take that stuff seriously online. You know what I'm saying? I always laugh, and I'm like, oh my days, this is funny. Or I would always commend someone if they make me laugh, even if they're trying to make fun of me, because I'm just like, okay, I respect it because you made me laugh. It's funny. Also, if people do say stuff, I always understand that because it comes from a place of hurt, and like they're obviously going through something that either makes them feel jealous or makes them hate a bit. And don't get me wrong, like we've all been in those positions. I've never gone out and actually attacked other people because it's just not in my nature. But I know people who do that obviously are in a very like low state of like self-confidence or whatever. So I'm just like, cool, man. I always like, if you need any help, let me know, even though they're trying to make fun of me kind of thing. So it's that. But in terms of the whole like IBD community, I used to follow a lot of people at the start of this journey, and I had to unfollow a lot of people because I just felt like every day was a complaint. Every day was like moaning about something. Every day was something negative, and I didn't want to be surrounded by that all the time. And that's just the harsh truth of it. I followed a lot of people, and then I unfollowed a lot of people, not because they're not good people, but because I don't want to wake up every day like listening to complaints. And again, everyone goes through their own journey and they deal with things in their own way. And I'm not knocking that, man. If you want to complain, you complain. It's just that I don't want to listen to that. That's not for me. I always try and approach things in like a positive light, and I'm an eternal optimist. And I always believe, these things happen for a reason, and, they build character. And so, that's why I kind of like avoid that whole like space in general, to be honest. It's not really for me. I'm grateful that people are out there helping others. I think it's fantastic. It's just me. I get bored, man. I get bored if I'm posting the same thing every day. And even me like scrolling and I'm seeing people post the same thing every day. I'm just like, if you're happy, it's fine. But for me, it's boring. But again, it's just down to me saying boring is not me knocking it. It's just me saying how I feel. And I'm grateful, again, that people are posting every day and helping others. Because obviously those people are getting thousands and thousands of followers, which is not something I'm interested in, but I'm grateful that those people are available, and because that's not what I do.
Yeah.
I just tend to have the more authentic, candid conversations, and they may be slightly less prevalent and like less common, but I always tend to get a positive response because I just tell you how it is, man. It's just the fact. Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush. It is rubbish sometimes. It's horrible, mental health issues. But ultimately, I know, like, if you set yourself some targets and you work towards them, you will achieve what you want to achieve. IBD, Crohn's, colitis, whatever it is you have, any condition in the world, like whatever you have, is all in the head, man. And I don't mean that it's fake and you're making it up. What I mean is, like, regardless of the situation you're in, if you want to achieve something, you can do it. Everyone faces hurdles. Everyone has something that they have to go through that tests them physically, mentally, socially, emotionally. Everyone in the world, in the history of humanity has had to go through something. You go through stuff. I go through stuff. This guy walking down the street goes through stuff. But it's just about how you deal with that. And this is what we have. This is what I have. And I'm just trying to. I'm dealing with it. I'm adapting it. I'm not allowing it to stop me becoming the person I want to be, and achieving the goals I want to achieve. If anything, it's made me like raise the standard for myself and like reach even higher, because I'm like, yo, like I can do this, man. Like I've been through all that. Like what's gonna stop me? Nothing. So that's kind of just like my mantra and what I try and spread. And yeah, going back to your question, yeah, mostly positive, all positive to be honest. But I suppose I'm very specific with what I surround myself by. And I think people need to do that as well, because living vicariously through things, even though you may not think that it is affecting you, it's definitely like
in your subconscious.
Exactly, subconscious. And then, you know, you might refer back to something that might be slightly negative and you're like, oh my God, what if it was that? Or so, yeah, you just have to be kind of careful the kind of things you consume. It goes back to like children. You put an iPad in front of a kid and they're just absorbing all this stuff. It's the same for everyone, right? If you absorb certain things, that's the kind of like mentality you're going to adopt. Sorry. So, yeah, man.
Yeah,
Chase
I
your
completely
dreams.
chase your dreams. I completely agree with you. And I wanted to say the fact that you don't just sugarcoat everything and you give a really honest view of how life is. Life is never going to be all sort of like fairies and butterflies and road lights. That's not life. It's always going to be both sides. And when you did an Instagram live for us about kind of adapting to life with a stoma, and you did it with Nat, we got so many messages, I would say probably more than anything we've ever done, saying like, thank God someone is like saying like, it's fine. I don't love it. I don't hate it. Like, it's fine. It doesn't define me. It's just a thing. It's like, I've got a nose. I've got this. Cool. Like it really resonated with people, and they need to hear that. It doesn't all have to be negative or positive.
I think so, yeah. Again, it goes back to all walks of life. You know, I always appreciate when people just tell me straight up what's going on, and that's why I have a group of friends. Whenever I do something that I'm like, okay, cool, they're gonna give me the facts. Is it rubbish? Is it good? What needs to be changed? And I'm the same, you know. And I appreciate people that do that, because it just shows they care and they're not yes people or yes men, yes women, whatever. And I always get a good response from that, man. Like even recently I got sent a bag by someone. I said, yo, I love it, but I would change this, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever. And they were like, oh, thank you so much for that feedback, blah, 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 blah. And they know it's coming from a good place, because
Of course.
I like the brand and whatever. So I'm just like, yo, like it reminds me once, yeah, I got sent a stoma bag by a company. I'm not going to say who. And I like gave critique for it, right? I thought that's what they wanted. So I wrote like all the positives and all the negatives, and then I got a call back from the representative, and obviously they weren't expecting what I had in store for them. They just wanted to know like yes or no. I just started for 20 minutes. I was listing out all the things and all the things I would change, and they're like, okay, thank you. It's already in production, but we really appreciate all the things. I was like, all right, cool, thanks. So sometimes it's a little bit too far, but yeah, no, I'm doing it for the best, you know. That's what I think.
Absolutely. I'm sure that feedback would have been helpful for the next production run, even if they couldn't have implemented it then.
There's a lot of issues. There's a lot of issues with that particular product. So I was like, man, this is not practical whatsoever.
Well, I think you did the right thing, to be honest with you.
They haven't been in contact since, so.
Oh. Oh well, on to the next.
I don't care, man. I don't care. But yeah,
you touched upon the fact that your confidence took a knock at like certain points through the journey, and kind of I wanted to touch upon, I guess, twofold. Firstly, a kind of physical recovery from surgery and how that was for you, but also from a mental standpoint, I'm sure it took a real toll on your mental health while you were poorly with Crohn's and TB and the other things, but also how it was after stoma surgery and how that's been for you.
Mental health has definitely been okay. Let's caveat that. I think I'm very blessed in that I have always had an understanding that people have ups and downs, but ultimately you can make your way through it. But it's okay to have those downs, and that's just natural. We're humans, we're emotional creatures, and this is going to happen. It's just a way of life. What I've been lucky with is that I've never allowed it to spiral out of control and like fallen down this pit that I've never been able to like pull myself out of. When these negative instances have occurred, I've kind of ridden the wave and understood it's going to get better, but I've also had to hold myself accountable in that the only way it's going to get better is if I change something. Don't get me wrong, that has not been easy. I'm not talking like this is easy. This is not easy, man. It is difficult as hell. Especially like lockdown for me was very difficult. This is obviously way post surgery, but like being isolated on my own, I am a very like people person, and that was difficult. I'd say the most difficult period for me was definitely before my surgery, when I was dealing with all the fistulas and feeling very vulnerable and just weak. I felt weak. I was at mercy to this condition, and it was wrecking everything that I wanted to do, and nothing was going well for me. So it was very, very difficult for sure. But I suppose, taking the plunge for the surgery was a step for me to get out of that kind of like mindset and that pit I was in, because if I hadn't have done that, I don't know what would have happened. I could have continued spiraling and may never have been able to come back. Sorry. Excuse me. So it's all about, for me, this is how I deal with it. Obviously everyone is different, but what I do is I tend to kind of try and take a step back and understand how I'm in the situation, how I got there, what is happening, or what are my habits and my daily actions right now that are making me maintain this kind of negative vibe, and what I need to change in order to get out of it. Do I need to go out and leave the house for 3 hours a day and work somewhere else because I'm getting too distracted at home? And that distraction is making me beat myself up, because then I'm not getting what I want to get done, and I'm not getting what I want to get done. So it's adding more pressure on myself, and it's just like a domino effect. So what do I need to do at the start of this whole process in order to eliminate everything else, kind of thing? And don't get me wrong, I think about this stuff all the time, and most of the time I action it, but sometimes I think about it and then I know what I have to do and I never do it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's perfect. So I think, the whole mental health thing is real, and it's something we need to address, and just talk to people, man. Like, have people around you. There's people online. Again, social media is a lovely place, can be a lovely place, but can also be a horrible place. But it's just how you approach these things, right? And there are many people out there that are willing to talk to you, that are happy to talk to you, share experiences, and just lend an ear, And sometimes I think people underestimate the benefit of just being able to speak to someone and vent it all out, right? And it might just be like a massive weight off your shoulders, whether it's me, whether it's anyone. There's thousands of people out there that you can speak to. Don't feel alone, I think, is the main thing as well, man. You're not alone. I'd hate to say it, but like a Liverpool anthem, man, you never walk alone. I'm an Arsenal fan, but let's not talk about that old jobs. But okay, moving swiftly on. So you're not alone. Most of the time, someone has gone through what you're going through. I'd say 99% of the time. So there are people out there that are willing to talk, and some of them are just so happy when other people approach them and are able to communicate on a level where you have a lot in common. There's so many instances where people try and understand what you're going through, but if they haven't gone through it themselves, it's very difficult to be able to kind of align. And it's not a bad thing. If they're trying to help, they're trying to help. But it's always nice when you have someone who's gone through it, and you instantly connect, and you can see their eyes light up. Like when people say stuff to me, "Oh, I've got this," I'm like, "Me too." It's so random. Like, it just reminds me of a story. When I was living in Spain, I went to Alicante with some of my friends, and I was walking up this massive hill, and I saw a random guy with he had a purple t-shirt on that said something about stomas on it. I looked at him, I was like, "What?" Of all places, some English guy. We just started talking. I was like, "Bro, I got a stoma too." He's like, "What?" And he was with his kids and his family, and we just started talking for 30 minutes. And we connected on so many levels. We've never met each other. The most random place in the earth, on top of this random hill, in 30 degrees. I'm dripping with sweat. And I'm just talking to this middle-aged guy with his kids and his wife, and we're just cracking jokes and we're having fun. And you can just see there's a connection straight away. And we exchanged numbers, and man, it's super duper nice. So I think just finding people you're able to connect to is the main thing, and that's the long-winded version. Sorry of me answering the first thing.
Love a long-winded. You mentioned before that having a stoma has opened loads of doors or changed your potential life path in a way that you would never have thought before. In what ways has that happened? I saw you. Did you walk in London Fashion Week, or were you a part of something at London Fashion Week?
Yeah, I do a bit of that. I do a bit.
Just a tiny bit of that. Nothing major.
I got randomly found on Facebook just after my stoma surgery. I'd say maybe like 9 months to a year, for an advert for a big company for Rimmel. And some casting agent found me and they're like, yeah, we'd like you to apply for the casting. And I was bricking it because I was like, I'm so nervous right now because, again, like, kind of answering your last question on this one, the physical element, I had a very bad body dysmorphia. I did not like the way I looked. I was very, very harsh on myself. I was like, you're ugly, you're this, you're that. And it was a very difficult time, you know, like imagine like waking up every day and just not liking what you look at, you know? And it's a very negative kind of like place to be in. And so thankfully I managed to break out of that and I'm happy now. But even at this time when I was approached by this casting agent, who I still work with, they're awesome. I was like, oh my days, what if they asked me to take my top off and this and that? Like I was mortified. So I did the casting. I was the first of like 50 guys and I got it straight away, which was fantastic. So I did the Rimmel advert and it was like my first experience of like a huge production and they're catered and there was all day shooting. It was amazing. It was fun. And the advert was fantastic as well. And it looked really good. So from then I was like, you know what, man, this is a nice life. I don't mind getting paid really good money just to like pretend I know what I'm doing. So yeah, from then on, I kind of like didn't really take it too seriously. But now, yeah, I'm signed to like 3 agents, and I still talk to casting agents. And obviously, I did London Fashion Week. I was in Vogue this year, British Vogue, with Unhidden Clothing, Victoria, big up. So yeah, man, it's been great. I did a Virgin Atlantic advert. I've done work to like loads of big brands, and yeah, it's cool, man. I'm really enjoying it. I literally put in a self tape for like a big car advert last week, so hopefully I get that, which would be great.
It's amazing.
And it's just like nice little pocket money, man. Like it's great money for the day. And again, I suppose that's one thing, the whole confidence thing. I never ever thought I'd be doing this, ever. And what has, like, without tooting my own horn, but simply understanding what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, I think is what has really helped me, because being authentic and being myself is what I do every single day, and it has always helped me because I don't have to pretend to be something, right? I embrace it all, man, my faults, but also like what I'm good at. I'm 32, I'm going to be 32 now, and I know, having tested my entire 20s, obviously going through whatever, I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not good at. It's as simple as that. And that's what your 20s should be about. Don't put pressure on yourself to be like a trillionaire when you're like 25. It's so stupid. Like, but by the time you're 30, you should know what you want to do in life. The 20s are about like testing and trying many different things. Go skydiving and see if you want to be a skydiving instructor or like a painter or like a woodwork person, whatever it is. Like, try loads of things and, you know, try experiences, man. Life is all about experiences. So by the time you are 30, 35, you have an idea of what you want to go into, man. We live in a world now where like you have to be successful when you're 19. It's so stupid, man. Like, don't get me wrong, if you are, fantastic, but it's like the percent. You know what I'm saying? Not even the percent, it's like the 0.001%. So going back to the confidence thing, yeah, I'm just very confident in who I am, and I approach every scenario just like happy to be myself. I'm just happy to be here and happy to just laugh and have fun. And that's worked fantastically for me, because I think people are able to tell when you're contriving some sort of persona. You're just simply yourself. And I know, like, if I do get the job or if I don't get the job, I was just myself, and maybe I wasn't the right fit. But thankfully, every time I've done it, I'm lucky that like
you are the right fit.
Most of the time, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. It's worked out most of the time. But yeah, I think that's like one piece of advice I always tell people. Just like, yo, like, one guy messaged me recently. Like, we had a really good conversation online on Instagram, and he's talking about like dating and confidence, and I just asked him a few simple questions about how he feels about himself and like his physical state, his mental state, and I was like, bro, don't even worry about dating right now, man. Don't worry about spending any energy on other people. I was like, you need to, you know, point that energy inwards and be happy with yourself. I was like, no, you can go on 100 dates, but if you don't love yourself, it's never going to work with any of them. You know, you have to, it's like a union of happiness. You both have to be happy and you share that happiness. Like, I've been in situations where I was super happy and the other person's not happy, and then it's like a messy balance. You know what I'm saying? So like, you got to be happy and confident within yourself and love yourself. And it sounds silly and it sounds childish and it sounds stupid, but it's just the facts, man. You got to love yourself. And, you know, when you're able to do that, if you're not doing that, that's what you need to focus on. You need to forget everything else. And then I think once you're able to do that, things will kind of like pan out a lot easier for sure.
Yeah, I always think the greatest superpower you've got is who you are. And as long as you know who you are, you'll always be able to be where you need to be in life. But it's when you're kind of searching and you're not really sure and you're filling it with nonsense or like what society's telling you you're meant to be doing, like they're trying to be successful at 19. Like, great if you can, but very unlikely. Don't put that pressure on yourself.
I just want to say, by the way, you're doing a fantastic job as a facilitator.
Really? Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I just like chatting to you.
Because don't get me wrong, obviously I do podcasts, so I've been in situations where I'm like, oh my dude. Yeah, no,
I've had a couple of them. Not you though. Oh, thank you. I'm coming up to the end, but I like to ask 2 questions, if I may, that I like to ask everybody. And I suppose they're kind of intertwined, but my first one is about IBD specifically, as I know there's quite a lot of people who think about potentially having surgery for years and try and exhaust, understandably, every other option first before they do so. But do you have an opinion or perhaps some advice for somebody who's perhaps like really in the throes of a flare and not really knowing if they can continue like this anymore, whether surgery is a good option or not?
It's a very difficult situation to be in because I've been there myself, I'd say you'd have to, again, it goes back to having that frank conversation with yourself. You really have to weigh up the pros and cons. Am I enjoying life? Am I able to do what I want to do on a daily basis? Do I have control of my body? You've got to really break it down to like the crux of the whole situation. And if the answer is no to most of those, and like you said, you've exhausted all medical options, then it's like, do I do this and try it, or do I continue down this road and hope for a change that is very unlikely to happen? I'm an advocate for stoma surgery for sure. If it is medically viable, if all the other options have been exhausted, obviously it worked for me and I feel fantastic. Again, the road is rocky, even with the stoma, but that's a conversation for another day. It's not plain sailing once you've had the stoma surgery, but it's just, being able to regain that control, man. When you're able to control things and control your day-to-day life, you're able to do so much more. So many more doors open because you're not at the mercy of this godforsaken condition, right? So when it comes to surgery, yes, I'm an advocate for it for sure. But also, you just you have to be like mentally ready for it. You have to weigh up all the options. You have to have these conversations with yourself, and it is your decision. People, again, I remember people like distant family members who I didn't even speak to saying, oh my God, about this, how are you going to get married, yada, yada, yada. It's not like I have those questions myself. I don't need you to tell me, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
ultimately it's your own decision, and like it is what you make of it, and people will adapt to you. You shouldn't be adapting your life's journey because of other people, man, because ultimately you're the one who's going to be living with it, and you're the one who's going through what's going on right now. They can chat all they want, you know what I'm saying? Like, what ultimately, how is that gonna impact you? How's that gonna affect you? You have to do what's right for yourself and your body, and everyone else can deal with your decision. And even if it is a wrong decision, I'm not saying the stoma thing, but ultimately it's you're in control. You have to, go with your gut, go with what you think is right. And at the time, if you're doing what's best for you, in the future, you may look back and say, oh, I could have done this different. I could have done that different, but it is what it is. Right now, what is best for you and what is going to make you happy? And that's the kind of questions you have to ask yourself for sure. So if it means having stoma surgery, go and do it. I remember my friend Ant, who was on this podcast as well. We did a podcast just before his stoma surgery. We were talking about exactly this. And he was asking all the right questions, and he's gone on to be very fruitful in the IBD community. He's doing really well. He just won a marathon. So it's all about you, man. It's all about you and what you want to do and where you see yourself going. And if stoma surgery is going to help you propel you on that journey, then do it.
Okay, last question, I promise. But what would you say to someone who has their stoma surgery coming up? Like, what are the things you wish you'd have known before your surgery?
Good question. Sorry. Good question.
Thank you.
So the first thing I would do is understand what is available to you as someone with a stoma. So you have a stoma nurse, you have lots of different products and things that are available for so many things that are available for your stoma, for care, for day-to-day things. Find out what kind of like bags will fit your stoma and stuff. I suppose you can only do that once you have the stoma, but I suppose just understand what other options available to you. I think this goes back to many different things in life. For example, like when you finish your GCSEs and you have all these options in front of you, you don't know what to do, so everyone just goes to uni. But no, there are so many different things you can do. I'd say one thing I would definitely recommend is like begin to strengthen your abdominal area. 100%. If your surgery is in 6 months, start like working out your abs. It may sound difficult, but it will benefit you in the long run. I never did that, and I started to get back pain because my abdominal area was very weak, because obviously they drill straight through it. And so advice, strengthen your abs, strengthen your core. It is vital to your posture, to everything that you do on a day-to-day basis. And a lot of pain in the body, in other parts, is due to the fact of a weak abdomen. So that's one thing. That's like the top of my list.
That's a great bit of advice.
Because you're not going to complain. You know what I'm saying? It might be difficult at first, but that's the first thing. Be strengthen your abs. The second thing is stop eating late at night, or don't eat 3 or 4 hours, maybe 3 hours before bed, because you don't want to wake up in the middle of the night with like a bloated bag. I don't think waking up with a bloated bag is a good thing, my personal opinion anyway. I think you should empty your stomach before bed and not have to digest during the night and wake up with that empty bag as well. That's just my opinion. And, having experienced multiple incidences in the middle of the night, let's just say, that's definitely my advice. Try and then again, once you have the stoma, I suppose it's just figuring out what foods kind of affect it in different ways. What foods are like extra gassy, because obviously that will inflate the bag. What foods like kind of go straight through and all that kind of stuff. But it's just trial and error, right? It's just trial and error. You have to be, I suppose that's one thing you can prepare yourself for beforehand, is the fact that you're going to have to try lots of different things, be open to new experiences, be open to adjusting to this new way of life. But ultimately there may be slight downs at the beginning, but the trajectory will be like super duper high once you get used to it all, There was one more thing I was going to say. But it's like slipped my mind now, which is very annoying.
Don't worry, it happens to me constantly.
What was it? Give me 1 sec. Stoma. Ask loads of questions as well. Just ask loads of questions. And yeah, man. Just enjoy it, man. It'll be fine. It's a good roller coaster, man. Like I said, ups and downs, but ultimately it will help
upward trajectory.
100%, exactly.
Moeed, thank you so much for being here. I love you. I love everything about you. I particularly love the swag bag. I love that you call it that. It makes me so happy.
Had to bring them Northwest London to the whole stoma scene.
Hell yeah.
That's so funny, yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to chat, and keep doing your thing, man. You're doing fantastic.
Thank you. So are you.
We try.
Speak to you soon. Bye. Have you seen the new Ostique skins yet? Ostique skins are revolutionary ostomy pouch covers that were created to make the wearer feel confident, sexy and powerful in all of life's moments. From moments of intimacy to lounging by the pool, conquering a workout or simply heading out to lunch, skins have you covered. Even better, they're compatible with all major colostomy and ileostomy bags. Ostique skins are available in a range of colours and skin tones, and they're made from a revolutionary material that's completely waterproof, high quality, soft and comfortable. Skins are easy to use, even with reduced dexterity, and they work with both closed and drainable bags. Plus, skins are also environmentally friendly and vegan. There are 4 bundles available to buy now, and you can also purchase individual skins. Head to ostique.co.uk to find out more.